Hello everybody and welcome to a set of 4 videos on the English modal verbs. In this part, the first one, we have a little introduction to you. We will introduce the most important English modal verbs, explain to you what they are and how to use them, and of course raise the question, what makes the English modal verbs so difficult? Alright, let's start. Let's go right ahead with maybe the most important English modal verb, and that is can, and its negative form can't. Let's start with a couple of examples. You can, of course, form the question, can you help me, please? It's perfectly all right. Or you can say, we can help our mom. It's a perfectly all right English sentence. But can you say, I can English? Can you use can in English as a full verb? In other languages you can do this, but not in English, and this is one of the reasons that make English modal verbs so problematic. I can English is not correct. You would have to say I speak English, or of course I can speak English. But you can actually take the can and put it in the past tense and say we could speak English. Maybe we could speak English 20 years ago, but now we don't. We can't anymore. So this is perfectly all right. We could speak English. Can be used in the past tense. So what are the most important things for the can? It can only be used in the simple present and in the past tense, which is the could here. There is no third person S. Please remember this. He can swim is not correct. The S goes out. It's just he can swim. And please always use it with the infinitive without the to. You cannot say I can English. It's can you help me, please? Infinitive without the to. We can help our mom, or down here, we could speak English. Okay, so much for can and can't. Now let's continue with the next one. Let's talk about may and may not. And let's start out with a couple of examples. May I go to the disco is a perfectly all right and beautiful English question. You can, of course, say, can I go to the disco? But may I go to the disco sounds a bit nicer. I'm 18, I may buy wine. It's perfectly all right. You may get up now. Good English sentence. And she may not walk home alone. This is the negative form. She may not walk home alone. What are the most important things for may and may not? Now, we've just had the can, and we said that can be used in the past tense, could. Now, for may, you only have the present tense. There is no third person S. So he mays get up now is grammatically not correct. It's just he may get up now. And you would have to use it with the infinitive without the to. May I go to the disco? I may buy wine. You may get up now. And she may not walk home alone. So it's for may and may not. Let's continue and talk about mustn't. May actually has 2 different negative forms, may not, as we've just seen, and mustn't. Please be careful with the pronunciation. It's mustn't, so the first T in here is not pronounced. May I go to the disco? No, you mustn't. It's the same as no, you may not. Or you're not 18, you mustn't buy alcohol. So what are the most important things here? Mustn't is the same as may not. Remember, it's only used in the present tense. There is no third person S, and please use it with the infinitive without the to. We know this now. So it's, may I go to the disco? And you mustn't buy alcohol. Use it with the infinitive without the to. Let's continue and talk about must and the negative form needn't. And start with a couple of examples. For example, he must do his homework, but he needn't do it now. So we have must and needn't as the negative form. Can you say, I must home? Can you use must in English as a full verb? No, you can't. It's only a modal verb. And we know by now that modal verbs you would have to use with the infinitive without the to. So I must home, which works in different languages, in German for example. It does not work in English. So you have to say I go home, or I must go home, or he must go home. So what are the important things here? Must can only be used in the present tense. There's no third person s, so it's not he must go to bed, it's just he must go to bed. And please use it with the infinitive without the to. He must do his homework, he needn't do it now, and he must go home. So these are the most important modal verbs. Now, what is the biggest problem with the English modal verbs? We've just had it. They can only be used in the present tense, except can, which makes the past tense can't. The other ones only in the present tense. So the question is, what are you doing with the other tenses? You cannot say, I will can help my mom. This doesn't work. The will goes out. It's like, I can help my mom, but then it's not a future sentence anymore. You can't say, she didn't may go to the disco. This doesn't work in English. The didn't goes out, and then she may go to the disco, to the party, but then it's not a sentence in the past, and it's not negative anymore. You can't say, you will must do your homework. You can say, you must do your homework, but that's not a will future. And he must did study for the test yesterday is most definitely not correct. It's he must study for the test, but then it's not past tense and it's not yesterday. Of course.